Parshas Chukas, Tovshin Vov, Vayisu Mehor Hahor Derech Yamsuf. Directly after Misas, Aaron HaKohen, the Torah tells us, Vayisu Mehor Hahor, they started traveling, they left Hor Hahor, Derech Yamsuf. What happened after that? Vatitzar Nefesh Ha'om Badorach. Vayidaber Ha'om Be'elokim U'v'Moshe. Klal Yisrael said about HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu. And they said the following. Lama Helisunu Mitzrayim. Why did you take us out of Mitzrayim? Can you believe that question? Lamus Ba'midbar. Why did you take us out of Mitzrayim that we should die in the Midbar? Why would they die? Ki ein lechem, the pasuk tells us, ki ein lechem, because there is no bread, ve'ein mayim, and there is no water, v'nafshenu kotza. It's just terrible for us. We have no bread, we have no water. And the Torah continues. What happened after that? Vayishlach Hashem ba'om es hanachoshim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent as a punishment, Hashem sent snakes as hanachoshim hasarofim vayenashchu esa'am. As a punishment for Klal Yisrael complaining and saying, why did you take us out of Mitzrayim? We have no bread. You took us out to die here in the Midbar. We have no bread. We have no water. And the Klal Yisrael said, V'nafshenu kotza b'lechem akloikel. We don't have anything. It's terrible for us here. Hashem sent snakes to bite the people of Klal Yisrael. And then, the Parsha, we realize, this Parsha is written, as we said, immediately following the Parsha of the Misas Aaron HaKohen on Hor Hahor. So why do we have the juxtaposition of these Parshiyos? Why does this Parsha come right after the Parsha of Misas Aaron HaKohen? So too, says the Nesivos Shalom, we need to understand why such a strong and unique punishment of these Nechashim Hasrafim happened here. Why was there such a strong punishment? Why something, such a unique punishment? It's different than any other Einish, any other punishment that the Dora Midbar had. There were other punishments, but this one seemed to be more severe, more unique. We also need to understand, says the Nesivos Shalom, how this punishment stopped. We know that the punishment was going on, and the Torah tells us, Vayovoy ha'om el Moshe. Klal Yisrael then came to Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayoimru, and they said, Chatanu. Klal Yisrael was doing tshuva. They said to Moshe Rabbeinu, we did an Aveira. And they asked Moshe Rabbeinu to do something. Hispaler el Hashem, daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'yoser me'olenu es hanochash. Moshe Rabbeinu, they asked, be mispalel to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that this snake should leave us. And the Torah tells us, vayispalel Moshe ba'ad ha'om. Moshe Rabbeinu prayed, Moshe Rabbeinu was mispalel for Klal Yisrael. And then the Torah tells us what Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu you have to do. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe aseh lecha sarah. V'hoya, and it will be to hang up a snake. V'hoya, and it will be im noshach hanachash et ish. If the snake would then bite a person, v'hibit el nachash hanachoshes v'choy. Hang up this snake made out of copper. And if anybody gets bitten by a snake, they'll look up at the snake and they will live. A televic, unbelievable sequence of events that was going on here. You know, there was any other time after Klal Yisrael did an Aveira and Moshe Rabbeinu davened for them, what happened? Hashem accepted the tefillah as it is. Hashem accepted the tefillah. However, over here, this copper snake had to be made. And not only that, if one wanted to be saved, you would have to gaze at the snake in order to live. So why here, even after doing tshuva, did they have to look up at this snake? Why was it that way, that after tshuva they had to do that? Usually, Moshe Rabbeinu was mispalel, and once Moshe Rabbeinu was mispalel, HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepted it. We see that over here, it was not that way. It was totally different than any other time. So the Nesivos Shalom says that in order to understand what's going on here, we need to analyze what exactly was the root of the problem. It says in Nesivos Shalom, the root of the problem here was that Klal Yisrael was not accepting the Ratzon Hashem and the Hanhogas HaBoireh. Klal Yisrael was sort of saying here that we are unhappy with what Hashem is doing, with the way Hashem is running things right now. And with all these complaints about the food and the water and the lack of, we know that there really wasn't even a lack of food and water. We know in the Midbar, they had the man, they had whatever food they wanted, they had whatever they wanted the food to taste like. And they had the Mei Be'er, they had the water of the Be'er also. So there was plenty of food and drink, right? There wasn't even a problem about food and drink. So that was step number one. But it was b'diyuk, what they wanted at that moment that they did not have. It was Klal Yisrael, they knew that they had food. They knew that they had drink. But at that moment, what they wanted, they didn't have. And that was the problem. The Klal Yisrael was saying, it's not exactly as we wanted. It's not exactly as we think it should be. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, tells us that there were 10 nisyonos given to Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu got 10 nisyonos, and all of them were equal. All of the nisyonos showed us how much Avraham Avinu loved HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Mishnah tells us also, a Zehu Ashir. What is it? I'm telling you two separate Mishnahs. Another one is a Zehu Ashir, a person who is Sameach B'chelkai. Now let's look at Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu, we can understand the nisyonos of Orkastin. Avraham Avinu had that nisoyon, the nisoyon of the Akedah. So over there, I can understand when Avraham Avinu passed that nisoyon, it showed how much he loved HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But what about the nisyonos of Vayhiva of Ba'aretz, by Avraham Avinu, where there was a hunger? Or the nisoyon of where they took away Avraham Avinu's wife? What did Avraham Avinu have to do with that nisoyon? It was totally not in Avraham Avinu's control. So how do we say that there were 10 nisyonos, they were all on par with each other, and we say that the nisoyon of a hunger in the land was the same as the nisoyon of the Akedah? How could that be? Avraham Avinu had no control over a hunger. He had no control over the fact that they were taking away his wife. How do we see that when Avraham Avinu passed that nisoyon, that it was something so great? Zok the Nesivos Shalom. You know what the nisoyon was when there was a hunger in the land? You know what the nisoyon was when they took away the wife of Avraham Avinu? The nisoyon was in how Avraham Avinu reacted. The nisoyon is that when you're faced with a challenge, when there's a hunger, or when there are challenging times in your life, the nisoyon is how do you react? And you know what Avraham Avinu showed? Avraham Avinu showed that he was happy. He was Sameach B'chelkai. Avraham Avinu was happy with whatever Hashem was doing for him. And that's why the Mishnah tells us that by every one of these nisyonos, we showed Kama Chibasoi Shel Avraham Avinu. Each and every one of these nisyonos showed just how much Avraham Avinu loved HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And by all the nisyonos we see, and as we heard, they were all on the same level. That Hashem, it's always showing, Avraham Avinu was showing to us that no matter what happens, and no matter what challenge you're faced with, Hashem is always doing good. Hashem is always doing what's best for you, and even if we do not understand it. And the Nesivos Shalom says that for the Yetzer Hara, this is more. This is a very, very great, the Yetzer Hara for this is more and greater than even Kina, Taiva, and Kavod. So it says in the Nesivos Shalom that the Yetzer Hara wants to make a person unhappy with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yeah, of course, I like it, but things should be better. I deserve better. I'm not so exactly happy b'diuk with exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing for me right now. And that was the severe punishment that Klal Yisrael faced of the snakes now in the Midbar. And you know why it was with snakes, says the Nesivos Shalom? It was with snakes because snakes represent the Mekor Hara of the Bria, the essence of bad in the creation. Why? You know why? Because the Nachash has his food, he always has his food right in front of him. The Nachash crawls on the ground and he eats dirt. He's never out of food. The Nachash has everything right there on the ground in front of him. He never even has to ask Hashem. He has no relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem gave the punishment of the Nachash was that Hashem cut himself off from the Nachash. We have no relationship. But you know what? Your food, you can have everything. You never have to ask me for anything. The Nachash never has any Hakaras HaToiv. You know why? Because it's all right there. It's right there in front of him. And that was exactly the situation over here. Klal Yisrael had man. They had whatever they wanted the food to taste like. They had water from the Be'er. They had as much water as they wanted. But still they complained, just like the Nachash, who had everything, who has everything right in front of it. The Nachash has everything right there, but he doesn't have Hakaras HaToiv. The Nachash still goes ahead and bites other creatures. The Nachash still goes ahead and does things to hurt other creatures, even though it has everything right in front of it. And that's what Klal Yisrael was doing. They had everything, but they didn't have exactly what they wanted, and they complained to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the answer to our next question is that Hashem said that the only way to get a kapara over here, the only way that Klal Yisrael can be saved from this snake is to look up at the snake also. You have to look up at this Nachash. You know why? Because you might think, a person is thinking, I didn't actively do anything wrong. Okay, so maybe I didn't appreciate exactly what Hashem's doing for me. No. You think you didn't do anything wrong, so that's why you don't realize you have this Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara wants you to be unhappy with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And you need to look up at that snake and think about it. Think about this lesson of appreciating everything that Hashem does for you. And it's written in the Torah right next to the Misas Aaron, because it tells you Aaron was the opposite. Aaron was Oyev Esabrias. Aaron, HaKohen, loved everything. And how do we come to Madrega? Sometimes it's not easy for a person to love everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does for them. So the Torah is telling you, you know how you come to love everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does for you? You're Oyev Esabrias. You be like Aaron HaKohen, loving people, being down on the people of Kav's Chuz, always looking at the good side of people, brings you to always look at the good side of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's the lesson we have to learn over here. In order to appreciate HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we first have to appreciate all the people around us. And that we learn from Aaron HaKohen.